Today, I'm going to show you another way to downgrade from Windows 11 back to Windows 10, even if you've missed the 10-day downgrade window. But this time, we're going to be doing it for free, and we're still going to save your programs and data. Well, kind of. Stay tuned. This week's sponsor is me. If you'd like to support this channel, the best way is to pick up a t-shirt at cybercputech.com. All my t-shirts are extremely high quality and durable. These are the same shirts I wear in videos. So if you like the shirt I'm wearing, then head over to cybercputech.com and pick yourself up one today. If you've upgraded to Windows 11, it only comes with a 10-day downgrade window where you can go back to your previous operating system. However, after that 10 days, the only way to go back to your old version of Windows is to completely reload and lose all of your data and programs. Last week, I showed you how to downgrade to Windows 11 back to Windows 10 without losing any of your data or programs. Unfortunately, it required a $70 program to do it. So this week, I'm going to show you another method that's completely free. Unfortunately though, this method is nowhere near as automated and is going to take a lot more work. As I said in the last video, I recommend watching this video all the way through at least one time before trying to do this method, especially this method. This can be very complicated and take lots of steps. So if it seems like too much for you, it might be better to go to the last video and just pay the $70 for the program that automates a lot of these steps. But I have a discount code in that video that'll give you the program for 35 bucks, so it might be worth it. But if you think you're pretty computer savvy and you're willing to take this method on, then the first thing I would do is make sure to completely back up your data before starting. In fact, one of the things that you're going to need in order to follow this guide is an external hard drive. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities to back up. I would definitely make sure, and backing up is going to be part of this process. So let's get this thing hooked up and we'll get to it. Okay, so like I said in the opening of this video, this is a much more complicated process than the last one. But the benefit to it is you don't have to pay anything for it. So you're pretty much trading your labor for the amount of money you're spending. So let me show you how to do it. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go ahead and open up your browser and you want to go download this program. It's called Clone App. It's a really neat little program that you can pick up, and it's actually, believe it or not, it's from the same guy that creates the This is Windows 11. So I found this when I was looking for alternatives for the PC trans that we used last week. But for this one right here, it's just a simple little program that helps to back up the settings from your individual apps and things of that nature. So we're going to go ahead and click on the link right here and go ahead and download it. Once you get that downloaded, you can go ahead and close your browser. So once you get that, what we're going to have to do is we want to go over to our external drive that we have here. And last week, we created a backup folder to back up for that one. So I'm going to do that again this week. So essentially what you want to do is on your external drive, you want to create a folder. And in this folder, just name it Backup. I'm going to name mine Backup Part 2. And then from there, we're going to open that up. And then you want to open up another Explorer window. And then from this Explorer window, you want to go back to your This PC. You want to go into your C drive, and you need to copy all the files that you want to save. So in this case, I'm going to back up this folder called Cyber CPU because it's got a lot of programs that I have installed, like fan control and hardware monitor and, open RGB. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these over too. So we're going to drag those over and drop them into our other folder. And then we want to go into the user folders. And then from there, you want to download your profile and whatever other profile that you plan on copying over, as well as the public profile. It's real important to grab the public profile too when you're backing up. So you're going to grab these and then drag them over like this and then copy them over to the hard drive. And it may ask you for administrator permissions to do this, and if it does, just go ahead and hit continue. Now it's going to take a little bit to back up this computer right here, but depending on how much data you have, it's going to take longer, obviously, because more data takes more time. This one doesn't have too much on it, so it should be okay. However, during the process of backing up, there's going to be certain files that it's not going to be able to copy. And when it gets to those, unfortunately, you're going to have to skip them. But if you want to get a complete copy and not skip any files, then a really good alternative is to use a live Linux distro or a Windows PE install that you can boot offline so you can copy your user folders that way as well. So you go ahead and back up the way that you want to. I'm going to back up this way right here, and then once it's done, we'll get on with it. Okay, this is a perfect example of a file not being able to copy. And this right here is clipchamp. I don't even care. Go ahead and check, do this for all current items, and then just hit skip. And it's going to take a little while to copy through, and you may get some more errors too as it's copying. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and let it finish copying, and once it's finished, I'll meet you back in Windows. All right, the backup's finished up. So once you get all your data backed up, that's the most important part of this whole process. So once that gets backed up, now we can get into that program I was talking about. Now I went ahead and have this program right here on my external drive. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to extract this to any folder that you want. I'm going to extract it to my external drive right here. So to do that, we're just going to drag it over here. We're going to hit extract. Going to go ahead and extract it right there. And then once it finishes up, we're going to go ahead and open this folder right here. And then from this folder, we should have the actual program itself. Now there's a few things that you're going to want to do on here. And it's a really good idea to use some of these plugins, unfortunately. I wish they would just come with the app to begin with, but unfortunately you have to install them and they're a little bit complicated to install. So let me show you how to do it. So if we open up our browser window here again, and we go back over to the Clone App GitHub page, I'm going to go ahead and click on Clone App right here to get over to the main page. And if you scroll down, you'll see right here where it has community plugins. And if you click on that, there's several different plugins you can get. This plugin right here helps to back up your product keys. This one here helps to back up your web browser passwords. This one here helps you to back up your Windows network credentials. And then this one here helps to back up your wireless network keys. So if you have a computer that's on a wireless network, you can back up all your keys. So what you do is just go ahead and click on these things in order to download them. Go ahead and click on it and then click on Raw View right here and it should download the file for you. So as you can see right here, it says failed virus detected. Now if this happens to you, you may have to disable your antivirus in order to download these plugins. I can tell you right now that these plugins are not malicious in any way. They're just programs that are used to extract things like wireless keys and things of that nature. So they can be used for malicious purposes, but you're obviously not going to be using it for a malicious purpose. You're using it so you can back up your wireless keys. So one thing that you may have to do in order to follow this guide is, unfortunately, you may have to turn off your antivirus. And in Windows Defender, you do that just by clicking on your virus and threat protection, go over to Manage Settings, and then right here where it says Real-Time Protection, go ahead and check that off and hit yes, and that'll turn off the real-time protection for your antivirus. And then close that, and you should be able to click Raw View and download it again, and this time, hopefully it should work. And also, if you have any other problem, you may actually have to disable safe browsing from within Chrome in order to download these plugins as well. I know it's a hassle, but it's one of the things you have to do, unfortunately, if you want to back up this information. So if we come up here, click on the three dots right here and go into Settings, and then just search for Safe Browsing, and you'll find right in here under Security, there's Safe Browsing. And if you click on No Protection, normally it should be on Standard Protection, but if you click on No Protection, then it will allow you to download pretty much whatever you want. But once you get all of that taken care of, you should be able to download the plugins fine. Now, I know some people are going to be a little suspicious of disabling your antivirus and turning off safe browsing from within Chrome. So just keep in mind that this is not necessary in order to follow this guide. You don't have to install these plugins. However, these plugins will allow you to back up your product keys. They'll allow you to back up your network passwords, like for shared drives and things of that nature. And they'll allow you to back up your wireless keys for different wireless networks that you happen to be attached to. Now, if you don't mind not backing those things up, then don't worry about these plugins and you don't have to worry about disabling your security. If that's the case on you, then I get it. I understand why you'd be a little suspicious of that. So if that's the case, then go ahead and skip ahead to the point to once we install the plugins. But if you'd like to have these plugins installed in order to back up those things, then let me show you how to do it. Okay, so once you get the plugins downloaded, you go ahead, I'm just gonna hit show in folder here, and I'm gonna minimize Chrome to get it out of the way. And then what we're gonna wanna do is we wanna extract this into our plugins directory. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab it, I'm gonna drag it over and extract it right here, just so I have it out in the open. And then once it's extracted, right here, your wireless keys, you open this up, and you're gonna wanna copy these two files right here, the folder itself as well as the plugin file. So I'm gonna do that just by going and hitting cut, then going into the root directory of your plugins directory in the clone app, and then paste it right here. And in Windows 11, you paste it just by hitting this little paste icon, or you can hit show more options and you can hit paste, like it should be in the first place, just like that. And then go ahead and hit replace the file and destination. And it should write over the original wireless key view plugin file that it had in there and the program itself. And then just go ahead and repeat that process for all the different plugins. So if you'd like, you can always go back and I'm only doing the wireless key view one, but you can also do all these other 3 plugins as well if they have things that you want. The web browser password one is actually kind of real important because you save all your passwords inside your browser. However, if you use a Chrome account within your Chrome browser, you don't even have to worry about that because it'll back up your passwords for you. But once you do all that, you can go ahead and close your browser, and now we're ready to go to the next step. And that step is going back over to the original folder for Clone App and then running the program itself. And now you want to make sure to run this program as administrator. So go ahead and right click on it and click Run as Administrator. And then from there, it's going to ask you for user account control. Just go ahead and hit yes, and then it'll launch the program itself. Okay, once the program is launched, you want to go down and you want to look right here where it says select all, that says 249. This program supports backing up the settings for 249 different programs. And as you scroll through the list right here, you can see all the different programs that it shows. However, if you don't get this list, there might be a little bug in the program. I've actually had this issue. So if that happens, just go ahead and close the program again, right click, hit run as administrator again and hit yes until this list shows up. And make sure that the select all right here says the amount of programs that should be supported. This program might be updated at the time you're watching this video, but it says 249 at the time I'm filming this. However, you don't want to hit select all because you might not have all these programs installed. So what I would do is hit select installed, and the program itself will automatically detect the different programs that you have installed. So if we click that, as you can see, it's going through and it's picking the programs that I have installed, and out of the 249, it selected 44 different programs. And once you do that, then go ahead and hit the backup button. And what it'll do is it's going to back it up to the program directory. So it's right here in Clone App under backup. So if you look right here, it's going to be in this folder right here once you run the program. So we're going to go ahead and do that now simply by hitting the yes button, and it'll go through with the backup. And then as you can see, it'll have a log right here that'll show you what's backing up, and your file transfer dialog is going to come up in a few spots that's showing it transferring documents and things of that nature. So obviously this section is going to take some time. It backs up a lot of your documents and settings and pictures and things of that nature for you. However, you still should have a full backup for yourself, because I noticed that this program doesn't, for whatever reason, back up the desktop. And if you have documents on the desktop, you definitely don't want to lose them. But this is going to take a minute for you to complete, and once it's done, I will meet you back in Windows. Okay, so it's all finished up. You can see right here that it has an entire log right here that tells you everything that's actually been done. So you can go through here and see if there's any errors or things of that nature that you have to look at. But hopefully you should be good, and this should have backed up at least the settings for all the different programs that you need when you move over to Windows 10. So now the fun part begins. Now we get to reinstall whatever version of Windows you'd like to go back to. On mine, I'm going back to Windows 10. In fact, what I've done is I have a hard drive here that's already set up with Windows 10 on it, because I had to do this over and over again in order to make the video. But for your case, you can either reformat the hard drive that you currently have, or you can use this as an excuse to upgrade to a bigger hard drive or an SSD, because you know what? You really should be running an SSD, especially if you're running Windows 10, but I digress. Either way, what we need to do now is get Windows 10 reinstalled on your computer as a fresh copy of Windows 10. So for me, it just means I'm switching a hard drive, but for you, it might mean you have to actually set up Windows at this point. And if that's the case, we're gonna go ahead and get Windows 10 on the systems, and then I'll meet you back in Windows 10 and I'll show you how to restore the system the same way it was when you had Windows 11. Let's get to it. All right, so just like last week, we're starting off with a bare fresh install of Windows 10. Now, the only program I've installed on here is OBS Studio, so I can actually take the screen capture on this. Other than that, the operating system is completely stock with nothing changed. So from this point, the first thing that we're going to want to do is go ahead and open up our external drive. So the first thing we want to do is actually restore our backup. So for that, we go into our backup right here. We click on this, and then at this point, you have to decide what you want to restore and how you want to restore it. And this is why this method here is definitely the manual method, but it's nice that it's free. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open up another window here. And then from here, we're going to open up our C drive and we're going to start copying stuff back. So the Cyber CPU folder, it went in the root directory. So I'm going to go ahead and open that and copy it over to the root directory just like this. And then from this point, we go into our actual user folders. I'm going to open them on this one too. And we're going to start copying them back to where they go. Now you want to do everything but the desktop. Don't copy the desktop folder back quite yet. In fact, if anything, you can drag this one off and just drop it onto your desktop. But what you want to do is go ahead and click on all of these individual folders that have your documents and your different things like that in them. So music, don't worry about OneDrive, save games, searches, things of that nature. And then once you get those, like I said, don't select desktop, do all the other ones. Go ahead and grab these and drag them over and then drop them into your user folder in Windows. Now this is going to take a little bit to restore your files from this backup, but doing it this way will allow you to put the files in the same place that they were in Windows 11, but now it'll be in Windows 10. And the reason why I threw the desktop folder onto the desktop and didn't just throw it into the user folders is because if you do that, it's going to throw all of the documents that you had on your desktop or all the programs or files that you had on your desktop, and it's essentially going to throw them all the way over on the left of the screen. So by moving the folder just onto the desktop, you can kind of organize it the way that you want to organize it. So let's get back to it. Okay, so it's going to give you some errors and ask you if you want to replace the files in the destination. If this is a fresh copy of Windows, go ahead and just tell it to overwrite. So once you do that, you can go ahead and close this. And as you can see now, if I go over to my documents folder, here's all the documents that I had from the Windows 11 system. So my documents should be taken care of at this point. However, now we need to deal with programs. And for that, it becomes a little bit more complicated. So let me show you how to do it. So we're going to open up our external drive again. We're going to go back into our folder here that was set up with the clone app that we had before. So we don't have to download it again because I extracted it to the external hard drive. So by using it that way, we can actually open it up and then we can right click on the clone app and just hit run as administrator. And then from here, we go ahead and hit yes to the user account control. And then here we go, it's opened up. And as you can see, as we scroll through here, it's already checked all of the different programs that it has backed up. So in order to restore it, all we have to do is hit the restore button and it'll ask you if you want to restore the last restore, which in this case was from today. So do you want to run the restoration? I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. And at this point, it's going to start restoring whatever program settings and data that it backed up before. Now this is going to take a little bit, and unfortunately this is where things get really complicated because like with the other app that we dealt with last week, it copied all your programs and then reinstalled them for you. This program doesn't do that. You have to install all of your programs now manually. However, this program here at least backs up the settings for those programs. So if you have custom settings, it will restore those settings to the way they were originally. So once this finishes copying right here, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall Chrome and show you how it retains all the settings from Windows 11. Let me show you. So at this point, we're all finished with this program. We can go ahead and just close it now. And there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention also while we're at it. When you're doing this backup, like before, we did the wireless keys. If you wanted to actually see that report, it doesn't actually restore your wireless keys back into your Windows settings. It just gives you a report on those. So if you open up this backup folder, here is all the raw data that it actually backed up. So if you scroll down, you can find in this case, we have wireless network keys right here. And if you open that up, it'll give you different reports that you can open up. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any wireless keys stored, so it didn't save anything. But in your case, it should have a list of wireless keys right here and the access points that they go to. And that's how you'd be able to find it. So once we're done with that, we can go ahead and close this. And then we're gonna go back over to here, and I have the Chrome setup already downloaded. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall Chrome. And unfortunately, when it comes to this, there's gonna be a lot of things that are kind of weird. Like for instance, it did restore the Windows background, but as you can see, it didn't really restore all of the Windows background. So you see, that's actually really odd how it did that, but that's the way it did. Unfortunately, it's not perfect, but as you can see, now that Chrome is installed here, it has all my links from before. So it doesn't do as great as a job as the last video did, but ultimately, once you get all of your programs reinstalled, it should work out pretty good. It's just going to take you a while to install all those programs, is the only thing. So just make sure that you make a note of all the different programs that you have on your system before you wipe the drive out. So that way when you go to reinstall them, you'll know which programs you have to reinstall. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, this method definitely takes a lot more work on your part. But the nice thing is it's free. Although, I don't know what's going on with that desktop background. Believe it or not, the first 2 times I tried this method, it didn't copy the background at all. So the fact that it got half of it this time, it's reassuring, I guess, but it is what it is. However, if this method is just too much work for you, then you can always do the easy way that I covered last week. It's not free, but I have a pretty good discount code in the description of that video. So I'll go ahead and tag that video right here if you want to try it out. I also need to reiterate the importance of backing up your data before following either of these methods. If you follow either of these videos and you don't back up your data beforehand and something goes wrong, I'm sorry, but I am not responsible for your data. So take the time to back it up before you start. This is very important, especially doing something like this. But with all that said, if both of these methods are just too much work for you and you're just going to be stuck with Windows 11, then check out this video where I show you how to make Windows 11 pretty much indistinguishable from Windows 10. It's actually not that hard, and it's really difficult to tell the difference. But anyway, as always, you guys have a great day.